Yep. Okay. So here's just it's a complex subject, and here's part of the problem with this complex subject. What this video goes into: what do we give immigrants? What do we give them? At what level of naturalization do we give them this versus that versus all of this? What do we give them? You can't have immigrants just coming into this country that don't get something, because then you just have basically people turning to poverty, turning into criminals because they're seeking some sort of food or water or, housing or clothing. So the problem is that you run into, if you bring in immigrants, you have to find a way to take care of them. Now, of course, what we had with the current president, President Biden, was vote farming at its best, massive immigration policy to allow way too many people in at one particular time over a 4-year cycle. Way too much. But what's interesting about this is that the New York City taxpayer-funded prepaid debit card program for immigrants is officially being ended. And that's weird, because New York City is one of the most liberal places on earth. And as you know, if you've been there recently, which I have a little bit, I wasn't there for long. I was more in Newark and then a little bit of crossover. But the point is, there's a lot of immigrants running around. And the thing is, these immigrants were getting more in prepaid debit cards per week than most of the Social Security recipients that were there as SSI recipients or SSDI recipients. Now, here's kind of the thing you need to realize with this whole situation, okay? It is unique to see a country weld open its borders. I'm of the belief, and you guys know me, I'm more of like a Bill Clinton-y kind of middle, because remember, Bill Clinton used to be the left. Now he's middle right. That's basically what he is at this point. I'm more of the design where I think we do need immigrants, but it needs to be obviously a shaped program with specific requirements that are actually applied, which we didn't have. We didn't have that. So, and they found all this kinds of fraud going on where people were, thousands, tens of thousands of people were putting down the same address as that address of where they were going to be taken care of, etc. They were putting down improper information on forms. Still allowed in, still allowed to continue, etc. So what's interesting is that New York City, one of the most liberal places, is officially, as a result of the election, now that Trump is going to be taking over, ending this mass funding of immigrants. Let's get into this real quick. All right, so New York City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, and this was published November 7th, like today, 2024, 9:33 p.m., just hours ago, okay? New York City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino outlines how the Biden-Harris border policies are impacting her city on Fox and Friends Weekend. New York City is ending a program that provided prepaid debit cards to migrant families living in the sanctuary city. This is by Greg Wenner of Fox News. In a statement obtained by Fox 5 News, Adams announced the end of the Immediate Response Cards pilot program. Through the immediate response, here's a quote, Response Cards pilot program, we were able to reduce food waste, redirect millions of dollars to our local economy, and provide more culturally relevant food to more than 2,600 migrant families in our care, Adams said. As we move towards more competitive contracting for asylum seeker programs, we have chosen not to renew the emergency contract for this pilot program once the one-year term concludes. New York City officials began giving out prepaid debit cards to migrant families residing in the Big Apple earlier this year. The prepaid cards, the first of which were distributed in March as part of the city's Immediate Response Cards (IRC) program, are meant to be used only to purchase essentials items like food. So, it's like classic food stamps, but, remember, they were using them for all kinds of things here. Now, the mayor's office previously said access to the program is limited to those in a separate program that provides 4-week hotel stays for families with children and families expecting children. Allowances for immigrants residing in the city are distributed on a weekly basis until the end of their 4-week hotel stays, with families of 4 with 2 children under the age of 5 receiving up to nearly $350 each week. Officials said the program would save the city about $600,000 per month and $7.2 million per year. New York City, which has been overwhelmed by more than 200,000 migrants arrived arrivals since 2022 has been providing settlement options to migrants since that time. Last year, it opened a reticketing center to offer one-way plane tickets for migrants. Late last month, Fox News confirmed that 4,500 migrants had been sent back to Texas. They literally sent them back to the states that sent them over. Late last month, Fox News confirmed that 4,500 migrants have been sent back to Texas using bus or plane tickets purchased by the city, which was first reported by Bloomberg News, which is incredible. I didn't know this. I thought a lot of them just went to New York City and they just found a way to like house them or whatever. New York City, like Texas, Florida, they were busing them up. And New York City was busing them back down. I didn't know that. According to Mayor Eric Adams' office, the top 5 destinations for migrants leaving the Big Apple are Texas, Illinois, Florida, New York State, and Colorado. Now, in total, they have issued more than 47,000 tickets, and roughly 4,500 have gone to Texas. It was not clear how many of those migrants have come from buses sent to New York City from Texas. Texas Governor Greg Abbott began busing migrants to New York City and other sanctuary cities in 2022, in what he said was an effort to relieve pressure on the overwhelmed border communities. Abbott said he chose sanctuary cities that limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement, because he said they encourage the crisis. Now, I want to go back to this real quick because this brings out a really interesting question. Should migrants, entrants, asylum seekers, refugees, should these individuals potentially receive more money than Social Security recipients? Let's start with the first tier. You have SSI people, right? A lot of them were getting $600 and something to $943. Now, let's just go through the basics here. This was $350 per week for families of 4 with 2 children under the age of 5, receiving up to that $350 per week. Now, there's a lot of families that are only living off of that one person's SSI check as well. I run into it all the time. So let's think about this for a moment. If you take, for example, right, so we take 350 times 4, that's going to be your classic month, your regular, reinstated every single month. That's going to be $1,400. So my question to you is, if we don't give good food stamps to SSI beneficiaries, and SSI beneficiaries can only make up to $943 per month from their actual benefits, and they are punished the moment they earn $2 over $85, and they're only allowed to have $2,000 in resources, a lot of these restrictions make it untenable for SSI people, actual Americans and immigrants that have lived here a bit longer, who have gone through the process, and of course, people that are over 65 and elderly. It makes it difficult. It makes it hard for Americans to say that we're properly helping Americans when other immigrants are getting a big help. However, I want to bring up an idea. What is the cycle we should consider giving to immigrants? Do we give immigrants more right up front? Because, when an immigrant first gets to America and they've got to figure things out, settle somewhere, do something, they need enough money to be housed. They need enough money to eat food. They need enough money to get clothing. Do we have more funding for them right when they get here? Do we slowly reduce the funding with the expectation that they have to get a job? Where's the line? Now, here's an interesting point I want to bring up to you. Current SSDI amount per month. So that's like, last month. Okay. Current SSDI payment on average is $1,542 per month. Now, these immigrants were getting housing and, specialty this and specialty that and, all these things. They were undoubtedly getting in benefits more than $1,542. Okay. So that's, $1,542. That's the average for SSDI people. The average for disabled people, everybody below that average was making definitively less than these immigrants were getting. And, again, there's a lot of families that live off of one SSDI check per month. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know. It's a struggle, and they're constantly stressed, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, etc. So the question then becomes, okay, if most of these people on SSDI benefits are below what we're giving to immigrants, is that a correct thing? And I say to you this. With SSDI people, Social Security disabled individuals, do they face the same struggles that somebody coming to this country might also face when they first get here? I think the thought is that SSDI people likely have more of an in, but then I can think of a lot of cases where they don't. They don't have any in. They become disabled. They get kicked out of their house. They lose their house. They lose their mortgage. They lose their apartment that they were renting, and they're shit out of luck. They're in the same exact spot a migrant might be, except they speak the same language. So then you have to think about this and say, okay, what do we have here? We have an individual from a different country who might not speak the same language, doesn't know the same culture. How much do we give them? Now, obviously, we don't know how many, migrants came through the border. It could be 15 million, could be 20 million. We don't know. We just don't know. We know that there's a lot of floating individuals. We just don't know. What we do know is how many SSDI people there currently are. Let's pull this up real quick. How many people are on SSDI benefits right now? Okay. So it says about 7.3 individuals are on SSDI benefits. Okay. Now remember, if we look at the SSI number, a chunk of that number are also entrants, refugees, asylum seekers, they're immigrants, right? So if we go, okay, how many people are currently on SSI benefits? Well, a chunk of that has to do, which is 7.4. Okay, 7.4. A chunk of that has to deal with people who are currently, an immigrant who is capable of getting SSI benefits. So what I ask you is this, okay? At the end of the day, what do you think is fair for these immigrants? A lot of people will say, you got to boot them out. A lot of people will say, you got to make sure that they have enough to live, they have enough to exist. What is the price that we give people to try and restart their life? Because at the end of the day, the question we never really ask disabled people is, how much money do we give you to restart your life? That's kind of what back pay is, right? Maybe some retroactive benefits in there. That's it. That's the idea. How long were you waiting for disability benefits? Oh, 3 years. Okay, well, here's your back pay. Here's your retroactive benefits. Oh, now I have enough money to restart my life. So those two identities, the idea of how much back pay and retroactive benefits we're giving to somebody who's found disabled versus how much we give to an immigrant when they first come here, that's something no one is talking about, because the automatic assumption is that there's too many immigrants now in this country because, frankly, they allowed way too many in. Okay, when you weld open gates on a wall that allows people to come into this country in an unlimited fashion, which is what happened. That's the only way you get millions and millions and over 10 million new immigrants. That's the only way you can do it, is if you literally weld open the doors. So I guess my point to you is, what is something we can do that's better for our Social Security recipients? And here's my thinking. I think we should have an automatic amount of back pay that even if somebody is found disabled quickly, they can still get, because disabled people need to restart their life as a disabled person. So my question to you is, how much money should we give to a disabled person no matter what, even if they don't have any back pay available to them? Do we give them $2,000? Do we give them $5,000? Do we give them $10,000? How much money should we give to the disabled who are found disabled so that they automatically have at least some back pay to go ahead and restart their life, just like immigrants have? I think it's a valid question. And I think it's an important question. And I think it's something we need to talk about. So anyways, I will catch you guys in the next video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Become a member if you want. Head to Google, type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. Throw some reviews up there. Remember to hit that like button. We got 58 likes in here with 203 people. With that said, the next video, I'll be going live, answering questions for free. And if you want a private session where you rent basically my brain for an hour, little mini contract is below. I will see you at the next video in about 5 minutes, and I will catch you there. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.